It's What's the Score on YouTube on Christmas Eve. I am Matt Jones. Joining me, as you can see, is Les Roberts, both decked out in our festive wear. Les's cat is also there, as ever, regular guest on the show throughout the year. But, you know, we're decked out in festive gear. We've both got a drink each. Styrofoam. What are you on?
I'm on the XL Brewing Bacchus Pilsner. So, you know, Dan Vane.
Yeah.
It's his brewery. I bought a load at the start of the month. I thought, right there, my Christmas beers. That's my last one.
Is it? Oh, man, that's devastating.
I got like a full case.
Oh, no.
I've just been picking them off, sort of gradually and not noticing. And I went in before, and it's like, that's my last one.
It's the stress of everything, isn't it, that?
It is.
The last week or so we've had.
Yeah, it's even when we've been winning, it's been tough at times. But I know we're going to move on to last night, which was tough from minute one, really, wasn't it?
Well, yeah. I mean, you were there. Like, tell me the feelings you had inside the ground, because obviously it's so different, isn't it, when you watch it on the TV and stuff. And I've sort of been trying to maintain a bit of perspective on this. I've seen a lot of people kicking off last night, and I can understand that, like, after the results, and people are annoyed, and 26 years is a horrible number, isn't it? That's another good chance of a trophy gone. But I don't think Everton played well, but I can sort of understand why. And I think both of those things can exist at the same time, really. I mean, what was your feeling on the ground?
Yeah, I think it's easy to polarise it, isn't it? And say, if you come out and say, well, we didn't play well, but, the players do look a bit tired, it can be like you're making excuses for them. But that doesn't mean to say you're giving them an out or you're happy with it, because they just weren't good enough. Just going on to the game first, about getting into the ground and that, the club did a dead good job of getting everyone in quickly and safely. The spacing out was fine and everything. It was all run. I'll move the cat. It was all run.
He's the real star of the show, mate.
He is, actually, yeah. He's just got his own show now. I think the thing that struck, I think all of us when we were there, because there with my dad and the kids, it was how used we've become to watching it on telly.
Yeah.
I mean, we were in our usual seats. We're in the top balcony. We're usually in the park end, so it's a completely different view. I think you said in another show, like, if you want a view of the game to see how it plays out and see what players are doing, the top balcony is the place, isn't it? It's like watching a FIFA match or something.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
But yeah, it was strange being in there, and we sort of like we felt we've become so used to watching it on the telly, because we've not been since obviously Man United. Then was it February?
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, February, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, so it felt really strange, and I thought the atmosphere was a little bit subdued. I don't know what it was like against Chelsea. Were people up for it from the start, or was it when the team got into the game a bit more? Because last night we were on the back foot for so long. Everyone was just a bit like, well, we know where this is going. It reminded me a little bit of the semi-final against Chelsea, where we'd had the stuffing knocked out of us with that last-minute Sean Wright-Phillips goal at their place. So when it came to the Goodison tie, it was a bit like, well, we've got an uphill struggle here because we need to score 2. And it felt a little bit down. I think after the first 5 minutes of them just pummeling us and keeping the ball, it was a bit like, what are we going to do? Yeah. What was it like against Chelsea when you went in? Was it?
Do you know what? It was good. And I think it wasn't because they played dead well or anything in the first few minutes. I think there were just like a few little moments, like where we got the ball on the right hand side a couple of times, like either beat people or won a throw in or won a corner. It was just little things like that where I think when you go into the game and you're the underdog, you cheer and shout for those a little bit more, don't you? Like, here we go, we've got a bit of territory now, we can get a foothold. We can maybe spring something from there. And I think that was what it was, but I imagine last night it would have been difficult, because I think it's one of them, isn't it, where you win 3 games in a row and everyone's really confident. Like, when you look back on it and go, we beat Chelsea, Leicester, Arsenal. That's 3 great results there for us. But I think if you look at those games in a bit more detail, like, we have been playing on the back foot a lot, which we've had to do. Our crazy players have been out, and we've been relying quite a lot on fine margins, sort of going in our favour as well. And I can understand why the manager went in like that. But I think when you come up against the side in United, they were probably a bit better than any side we played over the last week, if we're being totally honest. And we're able to make massive changes in regards to the personnel and still feel the quality side. When they came out and played well and we played terribly, then I can understand why it was sort of a little bit, because it did feel like, watching on telly, it did feel like in those first 5 minutes, like, bloody hell, I'll take penalties now if you offer me it, because these look on it and we don't.
It was. It felt like a derby. The way they flew at us is very much the way Liverpool fly at us, and the way Liverpool fly at everyone. It was sort of like it felt relentless for about 25 minutes,
Yeah.
and then we gradually settled down and settled into the game. But I thought we did all right after that. We sort of restricted them. They had much more of the ball, but as you said, that's how we've been playing lately. Been letting teams have the ball and restricting the shots. So yeah, I thought we got into the game. We were looking good for penalties. I think penalties would have been fair enough. After they missed all the chances at the start, where it looked like they were trying to walk the ball in, there was one where Pogba let it go through his legs.
He took it back here as well, didn't he?
He could have, could have just took a shot. And after that, I thought we'd rode it, we'd sort of grown into the game a bit. We weren't brilliant, we weren't creating chances or anything, but we were sort of holding our own with them. And then I think we can't blame the referee for the result, but that Richarlison incident is pivotal, and the Cavani incident is massive, isn't it? Because it's a cliche, but he shouldn't be on the pitch.
Yeah.
But did he stick his fingers down his throat there? It looked like it.
You know what? Like, I've seen it again this morning, and at first I thought it was like an open palm, like arm around his neck, but it looks like he sort of squeezes Adam's apple, which is like that looks even more painful and horrible to me. I'd rather someone grab me like that than like squeeze that. That'd be horrible.
I've seen people saying as well, Yerry Mina's nearly 6'6", should stay on his feet. Cavani's not a small fella, and if anyone comes at your throat like that,
But, do you know what? I think you're right there with that, and I don't know that would have changed the result necessarily. Obviously it would have helped us because we would have had an extra man. And
but the fact he scores as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, but I think that those sorts of things have gone for us maybe in the last 3 games where they didn't. We didn't get dominated at any point in the last 3 games like we did last night. Like for those first 20 minutes. But you think about that Chelsea game where they hit the post twice and it just comes out. You think about the Arsenal game where Dom's header hits Rob Holding and goes in.
Yeah.
The Leicester game where Vardy misses an absolute sitter right afterwards. I think when you play like we have played in the last 3 games, you rely on the fine margins going in your favour, especially against good sides. And ultimately, that's why while this has been good, and we spoke about these on shows, mate, in the past, like while the last week has been good and they've got results, you can't play like that all the time because ultimately, a really good player is going to get the ball on the edge of the box on his left foot and just welly one in like last night. It's not maintainable. But what did you get a sense of the gravity of those incidents in the ground? Because I think the Cavani one was off camera on Sky, and then at first it just looked like a bit of a coming together where he'd gone for the ball, Bailly's gone and won it, and he just caught him on the foot. I think I actually said when it happened, there's no malice intended there from Bailly. I don't think there was from him, to be fair, but it's very, very spy, isn't it, Fernandes?
Yeah, I think that is something that needs looking at now, and it needs to be stamped out before someone's seriously injured. It's not on to do that sly little look and then shove a player in the hope that he's going to land on his head or go flying into another player.
Kane's been doing it, hasn't he, for a while?
I mean, Andre Gomez did it, didn't he, against Burnley?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure if that's more because he's shit out more than anything. It's tough to say, but even in that instance, it's not good enough. I know players get caught up in the heat of the moment, and there was some cop-out on Radio Merseyside last night trying to compare, saying it was karma for Richarlison after what he did to Thiago, and it's like it doesn't work like that. That was a terrible tackle by Richarlison. He got a red card for it, deservedly so. That happens in football. It's a nasty tackle. It's a horrible, cynical attempt to properly injure a player. Not a heat of the moment, go flying in with your studs up. An actual measured, right, watch him coming, bang, I'll put him on his head. There was a second one years ago with Mikel Arteta, remember, against Bucharest?
Yeah. And then Duncan got in me afterwards for throttling the lad.
Yeah, it's things like that. Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, Ferguson got sent off for that, and you kind of wanted that last night, really. You wanted someone to get a grip of, like, Fernandes, players, the professionals, who can't get dragged into a fight on the pitch like that, but, it's basic stuff that if you see your mate get done like that, you get angry, and you do.
Do you think that the players knew what he'd done there, though? Because I think, I don't know if you're more aware of it when you're on the pitch and stuff, and maybe the players in close proximity, but because I think Coleman went over.
Coleman was giving him loads. Coleman was giving him loads about it. So I think the players were probably aware of it. Just a case with Bailly as well. What's he doing flying into a header like that?
Yeah.
Like first, it was like Harold Schumacher against the Batterson too. You don't fly into a challenge with your hip like that. The whole thing was just horrible.
I think it just one thing on that, you sort of say about how the Thiago things ran on and on and on and on. I think it was nice to see him and Richarlison have exchanged sort of messages with each other this morning and sort of said, these things happen in footy.
All right.
You're a good player. We'll move on from it, sort of thing.
Yeah, that is good to see, actually, because there's not been enough of that moving on, has there?
Yeah, but apparently he's going to be sound, Richarlison, for the next game anyway. And,
Oh, is he? Okay, because I was worried he'd be out for like 2 weeks, is it, with a concussion?
And I think Everton did the right thing, by the way, by just taking him off.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
We've seen
about it today, hasn't he?
We've seen instances, haven't we, the last few, David Luiz coming back on with his head bandaged up and blood dripping from it.
Yeah.
It's a horrendous look, that, for any club to, put a player back on in that sort of situation. So I was made up. He just said, it's only a football match at the end of the day, lad. You can barely stand your feet. You're coming off.
Well, this is it. They took it out of the player's hands because he wanted to come back on, obviously, didn't he? Because any player does, even if, their arm could be falling off or the leg hanging off and they'd want to play on. But you've got to take it out the player's hand, and he did. They did the right thing there, definitely. It was, obviously frustrating for us, but you've got to look after the players first and foremost. Just going back to in the ground with those incidents, completely missed the Yerry Mina one until he was on the floor. Because I think the play was a bit further up the pitch. But yeah, the Bruno Fernandes one, it looked bad from where we were. I didn't see that he'd done it just by flying in and taking out Richarlison, which again, you look at that in real time, and it could have been a red card because he was reckless going in as well. But it wasn't. Frustrating there was no VAR. I think how much. But yeah, I think it's highlighted how much referees rely on it now, though. Because that referee last night and the linesman, they looked terrified to actually give decisions. I think referees are sort of using that as a bit of a crutch now, as like, well, if I don't see it, it's not the end of the world.
Well, sorry to interrupt you there, mate, but there's a couple of occasions where Cavani handballed it when he was sort of going through.
Yeah. And
you sort of think players think they can just sort of do that now because they can, they might get away with it. But last night it was sort of like, they might as well try this because there's no VAR. Maybe referees are sort of in that mindset of, well, if I'm not sure about that, I can leave it because it'll get pulled up. So he's probably thought, I may as well stick my arm up there and try and control this ball. Because the referee's probably waiting for some technology to come and oversee this, but there's nothing to be done.
No, well, and that's, if you look at it from the referee's point of view, if they're refereeing most of their games throughout the season with VAR, it's got to be difficult to get into a mindset where you've got to be more switched on. So obviously you've got to be switched on anyway when you're refereeing a match, especially like a top flight match at the speed it's played. So you will get into this mindset where you're like, well, okay, you can relax a little bit because if I don't see it, someone will pick up on it somewhere. Obviously, unless it's Caballos on Mina, which weirdly didn't get picked up, but we've spoken about that. So they must get into that mindset where they're like, they've got that sort of safety blanket kind of thing where they don't have to call everything because it will get picked up. So if they're not sure, they can leave it. But to then go into a cup match where you've got to be then that more switched on and you've got to give everything, it must be really difficult for them, to be honest, to make those decisions. But it was just a very, very frustrating night. Didn't even get to boo either. Appropriate under the circumstances.
Were people on the ground like pissed off at the way we were playing? Because Gary Neville on commentary said that there was some boos from the Everton supporters, and
there was a few people. There was one really angry fella down from us, who as the match went on and on and on. I don't know.
Was it your dad?
I don't know if he had vodka in his water bottle or something. But we get more pissed off. What's that?
Was it your dad?
we were all actually quite calm and measured. Like we didn't get to go for a substantial meal before the game either. So our tank was empty. But yeah, he was getting more and more angry. But I'd say that was isolated in the part of the top balcony where we were. So there was no booing. There was a little bit of moaning, but it wasn't like, I don't know, no one seemed massively pissed off with things. I think it was just frustration more than anything. It's the overwhelming feeling is, this is typical of Everton at this stage. We've got a good chance to progress, and we don't. I think another thing that you've got to factor in is Man United's away form is outrageous.
Yeah.
You don't like to make excuses, but had that been at Old Trafford, it might have been different.
They've won every Premier League game, haven't they, this season?
Yeah. I think they've got the record, haven't they, for winning 6 consecutive league games with scoring 3 goals in each.
Yeah.
That's a crazy record to go away and score 3 goals.
Yeah.
6 matches alone is a lot. So they're just a ridiculously good side away from home. So, you know, with hindsight, you look at it and you think that's possibly the worst draw at home that we could have got. But, you know, we are where we are. We've been in worse situations.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Yeah.
Still fourth going into Sheffield United. But the players do look knackered. I think that was evident last night, and we're not creating many chances. So, you know, obviously in the last 3 games, as he said, there's been the fine margins where we've taken the chances we've created. Calvert-Lewin gets the lucky touch off Holden to score that goal. But if that's not happening, if we're not getting the run of the ball, it's, you know, because Man United were getting every bounce last night, and, you know, I don't know if that's because the players are in better positions or they're working harder, but they were getting every single bounce of the ball. Nothing was going our way. Whereas, as you say, in the past 3 games, it pretty much has. So you just hope that we're not knackered and our luck's run out.
Yeah, and I think one of the things I saw is, you know, as regards to the tactics and how he played, and, you know, the perceived negativity of it, and I don't know. I think it's easy to say in hindsight we should have had a go with them earlier on, but, you know, I just think if you're getting to that point in the game where, you know, you put yourself in the manager's shoes where it's 70 minutes on the clock, your lads are knackered. You know, it was clear to see. You know, even one of the players who came in fresh last night, Seamus Coleman, had been out injured for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And if you've got Martial and Rashford coming off the bench for them, you've got Fernandes and Cavani and Pogba already on the pitch. I think the last thing you want to do is make it an end-to-end game where you run up and down the pitch, you're giving them space to surge into, and, you know, that might sound negative, and, you know, for a team at home in a cup quarter final, but I think one of the things we've learned about Ancelotti in his first year, mate, is that he'll always take the pragmatic option. And I think by and large, in his tenure, it's worked. But he's tried to see out games, he's tried to get us to draws. You know, last night, I think, you know, the plan from about an hour on was, you know, penalties is fine here, we'll take that. But I just think it would have been a little bit silly to say, Rashford, Martial, fresh legs, have as much space as you want. And I know sometimes you've got to risk losing to win a game, but I just don't think our lads would have had it in them to cope in that kind of game. And you saw when the game did get stretched towards the end, and we had to, you know, try to go forward and score an equaliser, they hit the bar and scored another goal.
Yeah, that's it, exactly. You know, it was penalties was the best we were going. I think if you'd asked anyone after 10 minutes, would you take penalties now? It would have been frigging right, yeah. If we can see out the remaining 80 minutes without conceding, it'll be a miracle, because, you know, the chances they had in the first 25 were just ridiculous. So yeah, I think to see it out to penalties was the best we could have got, especially, like you say, from an hour, and they bring the subs on who were like quality players. That was the best we could hope for. And that was what we were going for, and we very nearly did it.
Yeah.
I think if Cavani doesn't score that goal, I don't think they get the second either, because
it's a completely different game.
The game was stretched. It's like it was like Villarreal that time, where we had to go for it, so then they just nipped down the other end and scored it. It happens when you're trying for a goal like that and you're lashing people forward. It opens you up at the back. That was
against United, didn't it?
The 3-1. I still can't get my head around it. That was 3-1. I can myself we finished that game 2-1. But yeah, it does. You know, the defence gets pulled apart. Everyone piles forward, and you do get those chances. That second goal was always coming, really, once they scored the first. But we were very close to sort of, you know, getting to penalties, which is as good as we could have hoped for from the start of the game. So you can't be too down. It's just dead disappointing, isn't it? It's, you know, I think we all looked at this as a real chance to build up some momentum. You know, you get the semi-final in January. If you get through that, although it would have been Man City by the look of it, you know, you then go into a final in April, and that would take a lot of momentum along with it. That if you're waiting till April to get to that final, and you've got players playing to play in that final, you know, we can build up a head of steam there across those few months. Unfortunately, we've not got that. We can concentrate on the league now.
Yeah, title challenge back on.
A title push when I see one, definitely.
Just before we have a quick chat about the Sheffield United, we've had loads of people getting in touch on Twitter about last night. Harry Watt has said they made 9 changes. You could still feel free to jump in here, mate. So I've got any points on this. They made 9 changes last night. Could still bring the likes of Pogba and Cavani in fresh as daisies. We had to ask the same lads to go to the well again after 3 taxing games. The lack of quality depth shone through. The injuries to key players didn't help either. Just a bridge too far. Patrick Ridge, who's been on the show, of course, as well. Combination of quality / lack of depth, and then just a pile up of fixtures. Do think Carlo could have injected more impetus into the second half. Why not bring on Gordon for a Nakadawobi with 15 minutes left? Yeah, I think that's a decent shout, because I suppose you could have kept the same shape then, couldn't you? And without having to go gung-ho. We all played, the way we were playing was only going to go so far. Dave Sullivan, it's one of those things, hugely frustrating. My biggest gripe is the idea that this perfect scenario will come along where we have no injuries or suspensions and other teams left in, or all League Two teams. At some point, we have to overcome adversity, but we always fall short. And we'll do this one with Chris Hanman as well. Step too far for an injury hit for the squad. Hopefully, the squad can be improved in January. Really worried by Gomez's form. He offers nothing at the moment. Sigurdsson ran himself into the ground. He needs a rest. Hope James is fit for Boxing Day. What did you make of Gomez's performance, mate? He got a lot of grief on social media.
I'd say it was anonymous.
Yeah.
He's. I mean, even before his injury, his stats were a bit damning, weren't they? The fact that he scored one and set up one, but he was a relatively tidy link-up player where he'd pick it up off the defence and then pass it on. But yeah, he's looked way off that, hasn't he? He really has. He doesn't look up to speed at all. Just on Sigurdsson, there was a mad thing with about 20 minutes. I don't think he stayed on his foot for the last 20 minutes of the game. He was
falling over, didn't he?
Sliding everywhere for every ball. He looked, and you don't see this often from him, he looked really frustrated with how things were going. And I don't think I've seen him trying like that in a game ever, really, because he did look dead annoyed with how the match was playing out and the fact that he couldn't really seem to do anything about it. I saw he got a bit of stick for the short corner at the end.
I did lose the plot at that, to be fair.
But I think the plan was there in his head, because Bernard ran up late and asked for the ball. I think he was going to pass to Bernard thinking he'd whip it in.
Okay.
He passed it back to him when he wasn't expecting it, because he wasn't in a position. So he sort of got the ball passed back, and he kind of looked and then checked and hit it in. He probably should have just lashed it in. But I think in his head, he thought Bernard's in a good position to sort of put it on the keeper there.
I wanted Olsen up at that point. He's massive. Could have got his head against the button.
Just on Olsen, his kicking's horrendous.
Yeah.
I've never noticed it in the previous two games, but there last night, he seems to. I think we take Pickford's kicking for granted, to be honest. I know it's not always the most accurate and stuff, and it is way off beam sometimes, but when he gets it right, it is brilliant. Olsen will never set up a quick counter attack, because the way he kicks the ball, it goes high and hangs and then drops. Yeah. I'm not convinced by him after last night. He's very quiet as well, he seems.
The little moments where he nearly gave it straight to Cavani was a proper yikes, wasn't it? But
yeah, there was one part as well.
Mate. I think, made a few good shots in that first half.
Yeah, he did. There was one moment as well where he did something that reminded me of was it Robles against, was it Krasnodar? Where he just went wandering in his box.
Oh, yeah.
It was just a moment like that where he just seemed to be in completely the wrong place. But yeah, I don't know. I think having seen him sort of up close at a game last night, I can sort of see why Pickford's the better option for me now. Even though he's erratic and he's just off his head at times. I think he's potentially the better keeper of the two. It's still a position that's up for grabs for me. It's still a position that needs looking at in the summer. Not obviously it won't be January, but I think in January we need to just go out and strengthen as much as we can. I think we need to scrap this thing about you don't get any good value in January. It's a seller's market kind of thing. I think we're in a position in the league where we need to look at it now and go, we've got to gamble on this, and we've got to get some sort of key positions covered.
Yeah. The other question, actually, from Steve Williams on Twitter saying, first of all, he said perfect storm yesterday. This on YouTube. Perfect storm yesterday. Depleted squad versus an informed side. What do you reckon we need in January as a priority for the rest of the season? An attacking option ×2 if Bernard and Tosin can get shifted out, and the centre midfielder. It does feel like just a versatile forward, doesn't it? Somebody who can play across that front three really and do a job. Someone like maybe not Josh King, but someone in that sort of mould who's just going to run for you all day, can chip him with about 5 to 10 goals a season and just fill a gap when we need it.
Yeah, I think when we're throwing Tosin on still, because he's literally the only option, it's not good, is it?
No.
He looks slower than ever.
I think he'll play against Sheffield United as well.
Well, yeah, I was thinking that because Calvert-Lewin needs a rest, but then it's like he's almost guaranteed to score against Sheffield, isn't he? His old club, it's all set up for him to score again.
I think he'll want to play in that game as well, because
I think he would, yeah.
He played the last 4. It's not really helped him at all, because it's not been you get in the box and get on the end of chances we're creating. It's he's been asked to do the job he's basically asked to do in his first year at the football club, wasn't he? Where it's like just chase everything into the corner, hold it up and win us free kicks. It's very much back to basics for his brief. It's not. We haven't got Dino or Rodriguez putting chances on the plate for him. He's tucking them away now. He's had to do something a little bit different.
Yeah, well, it was noticeable last night that he was coming out wide, and then we were sort of getting caught with no one up front. And he's looking very isolated again. And as you say, if he's not getting those chances, start of the season, it was like he'll get 4 or 5 chances here, he'll stick a couple away. He's not getting that now, is he? It's very few and far between. So yeah, he does look like he needs a rest. But you'd kind of think Sheffield United's the perfect game for him to sort of, get back up and run and get a few chances and get a goal maybe. It's a tough one to call this Sheffield United game, because they do look done in, the players.
How many changes would you make? Sweeping changes for this one?
I don't think we can. I don't think we're in the position to. I mean, we could make changes to weirdly, we can make changes all over the defence now, because we sort of got like numbers for centre backs. And even full-back positions. So, but I don't think there's any need to. Because again, last night, I don't think Keane or Mina were at fault for anything, really. Maybe opened up a bit too much for Cavani's goal.
Yeah.
I think centre-backs, if there's a position on the pitch that can play all season, it's your goalie and your centre-halves.
I think Mina will get a rest. I think he'll be worried
about for Holgate.
Yeah, I think Holgate will come in for him. I think Coleman will play. I wouldn't be totally surprised if he gave Nkunku a game as well, just sort of like the one-off. And it wouldn't surprise me if Gordon played either. But
yeah, is it a bit dangerous to make that many changes though?
I think again, we're talking about the manager who's pragmatic here, and I will think that what he will do is look at the teams we're playing and say, what's the one I'm most likely to get away with making these changes. I mean, some people might see it differently and say, go full strength against Sheffield United and guarantee the win, and then rest everyone against Man City where we might get beat. But City haven't been that great, to be fair. I
know.
And if you look at where we are on the table, and they're the team we need to be taking points off if we're going to be in this top 4 race. So
yeah, that's a mindset thing, that, isn't it? It comes to that expected wins thing. And I looked at it last night and I thought, yeah, just go all in for Sheffield United, and then if we're not going to win all 3 games over Christmas and New Year, right off Man City. But as you say, they're the team who were sort of challenging with us now for top 4. The Reds are going to walk it. We might as well just make our peace with that now. That's going to happen. So it's the other European places that are up for grabs, of which Man City are going to be after one of them. So yeah, you kind of look at that and think, we do need to beat them.
Yeah.
It's difficult, isn't it? Who'd be a manager, eh?
I know. You've got a hard job, you lads. But yeah, we'll leave it there. I just think it's going to go. Obviously, we don't know who's playing or anything on Boxing Day, but I just think it's going to go. I think it'll be a tight game. We might just edge.
Yeah, I think the same as well. I think I'm just worried that Sheffield United can't go on this losing streak forever.
We've not been that bad in some of the games recently.
2 points.
Yeah.
You kind of feel the season's going to turn around at some point. It doesn't necessarily have to be against us, but that scrappy draw that they get that frustrates us all, like Burnley did, and then they go on and beat Arsenal. It could be something like that, where the season hinges on a scrappy draw against us, and we're on the butt of a bad result. But no, I think we should have enough to edge it, even if we're struggling after 70 and Tosin's been toiling up front for all that time. We have got Calvert-Lewin to come on, who could make a difference. Yeah, I suppose it's up to us, isn't it? We said this in a lot of games this season. It's up to us what we do in these games. We have got the quality to beat these teams. It's just whether we do it. So, at least it's in our hands, and we're still in a good position in the league with the FA Cup to come as well. It's not all bad.
Not all bad, mate. What are your plans for the rest of the day and for tomorrow?
Today, nothing really. Drop the kids off later. Go and see them again in the morning. And then drink loads of wine and eat loads of cheese, I think. What about you?
Is right. Very similar. Minus drop the kids off, to be honest. But yeah, going to be pretty chill, to be honest.
All the Christmas grub sorted on the ale?
Yeah, I think so, mate. Yeah, all boxed off. So, yeah. looking forward to it, to be honest. But yeah, it doesn't stop, does it, the footy this time of year? So
No, it's relentless, isn't it?
relentless, yeah. Those 2 games in 3 days are an absolute killer. Fair play to them for that. But yeah, cheers for everyone for watching on YouTube live. If you listen to this as a podcast as well, cheers as well. I think, well, this will be our last podcast before Christmas. So I suppose we should say thanks to everybody for listening throughout the course of the year. Thanks for getting involved. Thanks to everyone, especially Les, for doing these YouTube videos throughout the year in the good times and the bad times. Fingers crossed it's more good than bad in 2021 and at the end of this year as well, of course. But yeah, we really appreciate the support. Throughout the year, have a good Christmas. Hope you get loads of great Everton gifts, and we'll speak to you again soon here on the Blue Room.